front of thousands of people and lecturer and all over the world, and then you see him and you think, what? He? And that is body language, because you just got an information about an expert. And be sure, you know how an expert looks like. Not like me. By the way, for those of you in the back, I'm already standing. But that's body language, you know. Your brain got this information and it immediately constructed a subconscious picture of an expert. And what your brain has to do right now, it has to match that picture with reality. And sometimes that's really hard. And that's why you are all doing the same. You are checking me out. You're checking me out from top to toe. Well, that's not such a long way with me. But anyway, you are checking me out. You are looking into my face, and you are observing my facial expressions. You're watching my gestures, and you are watching my whole body. And that's what we are talking about, because the body language is the first and most powerful entrance into the heart of another person, especially when we look into the face. Our facial expressions are so strong, and there is one facial expression that is better to connect with other people than all the other facial expressions, and that is a smile. When we smile, we get immediately the entrance to another person. Why is that? Because entrance doesn't mean fun. Entrance doesn't mean likability. Entrance is, I am not dangerous. And that is what a smile shows. Who is smiling more, by the way? Men or women? Women? Men? Women? Men? Who? Who is smiling more? Worldwide, in every culture on earth, who is smiling more? Men or women? Women. Children? That must be Austria, you know. I asked who? Men or women? Children. It's always the same in Austria. If there are two possibilities, Austria takes the third one. Yeah. No, worldwide, it's always women. Why do women smile more? Does anyone know? Women, why do you smile more? Because you're weaker. Because you're weaker. Maybe. Other reasons. Why are you smiling more? They have to attract a man. Oh. Ladies, he's in the second row with a blue shirt. There are other reasons why women do that worldwide. And there's another thing. Who shows more facial expressions, men or women? Women. It's also women. I mean, if two women are sitting and having a coffee, it's always with their facial expressions. If two men are having a beer, and in the end, both men think that was a nice evening. It's always the same. And there is one more thing when we are talking about facial expressions. It's women who do it more. And they are also smiling more. And you know what? Women are also touching each other way more often. Up to 50%. I mean, if I would be a woman and I would have a female friend and she would have bought a new top, I would say, wow, that's nice, and I would touch her. Or if she would get photographed and a strain of hair falls into her face, every female friend would do this. If I would do this with my male friend, got me? So why is the difference? Why do you as women smile more? Why do you show more facial expressions, and why do you touch each other way more often? Ladies, because you've got a problem. What is the biggest threat in every woman's life? That was the quickest response I got. Yeah, it is man. The biggest threat throughout evolution was always man. We are the biggest threat. And we have more muscular strength. Our testosterone level is way higher. That lowers our hindrance. And our amygdala, which is an important area for activity in our brain, is up to 2.5 times the amygdala of a woman. Those three factors in the male body have one outcome. We tend to solve problems more with activity. And the most intense form of activity is aggression. That is how we see the world, with a lot of activity and a lot of aggression. Not every man, but the tendency is towards the activity. And you know, you as a woman don't have so much muscular power. Your testosterone level is lower, so your hindrance is also on a different level. So when a man gets aggressive, you can't fight with him because of the lack of physical power. And there's a valid scientific question. How could enough women have survived as they are exposed to the sheer potential aggression of men? And to make it clear, in Germany I have a project. I work together with one of the most in-demand criminal attorneys. Through him I get the chance to take part in some of the most important trials in Germany. And it's interesting because I can observe the body language of all the people involved, the judges, the prosecutors, the defendants, of course. But you know what is way more interesting? Beforehand, there are always meetings in small meeting rooms. And there are only 3 people in this meeting room: the criminal attorney, me, and the defendant. And as a sideline, you know, you would never ever detect a criminal via their body language because they are about the same like we. They are average. But one thing they have all in common: from a certain severity of the crime, it's only men. We tend to more aggression. And can you believe, in Russia, domestic violence is a non-punishable crime? And on the last World Women's Day, a research was published in Bangladesh. 80% of all women are victims of domestic violence. You know what? 87%? Almost every woman. Now the question is, we here in the rich part of the world always think, oh my God, we are way more advanced. I'm not so sure. How was it 50 or 100 years ago behind locked doors of farmhouses? Because the asymmetry between the aggression and the power of men and the lesser aggression of women is so big. And that is really a problem. And the question is valid. How could have survived enough women? Women solved this problem, but not with power, but with cleverness. And there is the point where the body language comes in. Women, who are you smiling at? You are not smiling at men so much. You are smiling at other women. When you go out during a break and you knock accidentally as a woman in another woman, you do, and you want to show her sorry, and she does, no problem. Imagine a man would knock into another man. He would say, hey, jerk, can't you pay attention? Would any woman do that? No way. And facial expressions. It's the same. Women show it more. Let me ask you, when your female best friend comes up to you and she is really sad, can you see it in her face? And do you also get a little bit more sad? And if your female best friend is really, really happy, can you see it in her face? And do you also get a little bit more happy? And that is the reason why women show more facial expressions. It is the best way to connect with another person. And every woman knows that when you come home in the evening and you tell your husband, you won't believe what happened today, and he just goes, what happened? Every wife knows that. It's really hard to connect with a person that shows no facial expression. And the same is with touching. Touching has nothing to do with likability. It's just a possibility to increase bonding. So women had only one chance to resist the aggression of men. If they form groups, they are stronger than a one and a singular man. And women are very quick in that. I will set up a trap. And you will see how quick women are in bonding with each other. And that is very, very interesting. How quick that happens. I mean, imagine you are in a foreign city. You don't have any orientation. And you walk down the streets and you don't know where's direction. And then in the corner of the street, you see a man standing like that. And you see a woman standing like that. Who would you ask for direction? Of course, the woman. Well, she as a woman doesn't have any orientation at all. But anyway. Did you hear those? Ooh. Ooh, the women in here, ooh. Those oohs were no signals for me. Those were signals for all the other women in here. I also didn't think this joke was funny. And from that moment on, all the women in here know we are not alone. This little garden gnome on stage, we will kick him off. Got me? That was just a trap. I wanted just to show you how quick you are in bonding, and that is important. Via facial expression, with smiles and with touchings or with ooh. Men show less facial expressions. Responsible for that, number one, a hormone called vasopressin. The second one is the anti-Mullerian hormone. And there's an area in our brain called rostral singular area. Those three factors in the male brain have one outcome. From puberty on, the facial expression of man is reduced. Have you ever seen a teenage young man, the facial expression of him? And the parents always get nervous. They think, oh, something must be wrong with our son. We have to fire him up. What can we do? We have football tickets, a vacation in the weekend. And the son just goes, oh, great. And now I hear you saying, ladies, you all say, oh, we need the modern man. We want an emotional man. Man, show your inner feelings, man. You are also allowed to cry. Believe me one thing, you would never ever take such a man. Imagine the following. Today evening, you go into your bedroom and on your pillow there's such a big spider. You would expect your husband to go into the bedroom because when you see that spider, you go, wah! You would expect your husband to go into the bedroom, take that spider, accompany that spider out of the bedroom without raising an eyebrow. Because if your husband would go into the bedroom seeing that spider and going, ah! You would think, I have to exchange that model. And that was really, really a big thing. Because in emergency situation, we expected someone who was stable. And he had a reproduction advantage. Imagine in the Neanderthal 200,000 years ago, you as a woman were at the end of puberty and you thought, oh, now is time for reproduction. And you were in the village and 5 young Neanderthal men, boys, were standing there and they're having a chat. And the little spider's coming up and 4 of the 5 boys go, wah! Just one says, oh, no problem. Who would you take as the father of your children? You would take the one who demonstrates stability even in an emergency situation. And from that moment on, his genetic mutation had an advantage. And nowadays, worldwide, each and every male loses a bit of his facial expression during puberty. And now, I'm a strong supporter that men should show more facial expressions. If you read my social media, if you read my books, I always say we should show more facial expressions. But you know what? We mustn't forget that this form of stability gave us so much security throughout evolution. Because in evolution, emergency was more the rule than the exception. Hey boys, but you know what? What we do still today is we roam the streets, we look very strong, and we try to be superior. But you know what? You can do that your whole life long, and you will never, ever meet a saber-toothed tiger. Because we live in a world that is securer than ever has been before. Today, completely different emotions and abilities are important. And we can learn so much from women. And that would be connect quicker. Today, it's important to start networks, to connect and to bond with other people. And a smile would be the easiest way to connect with other people. And when you are sitting here, when you are going out, a smile is so easy. But normally, we start our day completely different. We wake up in the morning and the first thing we do is we read the news. And we invest energy, anger, groan and moan into people who live thousands of miles away in Washington, Berlin or Brussels who we never ever will meet. And we forget about the people who are just around us. Because when you are about to leave your apartment, you take another look to the spy hole, see your neighbor also leaving the apartment, you think, oh, there's no rush. But our neighbors would be the people who help us in life, who should be close by. Because when we are in need, we knock at their doors. When we are bored on a Saturday night, who do we call? Our neighbors. It would be so easy. So when you go out, smile a little more. Smile to your neighbors. Smile to the people who sit next to you. And that is so easy. Not always, not in every situation. Of course, there are situations where you shouldn't smile. When you as a woman are at home and your female neighbor knocks at your door and she says, my husband just left me. You can't make he's now with me, No, you can't do that, no? There are moments where you shouldn't smile. But, I've worked in children's hospices. I'm working with the Organization for Children with Cancer, and in the end, there are only two things that remain. That is a touch and a warm smile. So go out there and smile. And some people might think, sometimes life is so serious and I can't smile. Hey, the great Lord gave you one subject that you always can laugh at. You know who that is? That is yourself. And some people say, no, I can't laugh about myself. No problem. The people around you will love to do that for you.